Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Dudley. I'm a holistic practitioner, and I'm here today talking with Amy Jones, and we are discussing the successes that Amy has had with using the medical exemption to not wear a face covering. And Amy had contacted me through Peggy Hall's site, and Peggy Hall is with thehealthyamerican.org and provides tremendous education for all of us to become empowered, to understand our rights, to understand how to move through this maze of a war against humanity, attempting to truly enslave us and take away our powers. But when Amy used the letter of exemption, she reported back and said she had some successes. So I wanted all of you to share in her experiences so that you can have that as well. Because as we know, the more of us who assert our rights, our birthrights, the sooner that we can topple this psychopathic overtake of humanity. So welcome, Amy, and thank you so much for being willing to talk.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello, this is Kat. Sorry. My phone.
Thank you very, very much. I had contacted Kathleen, as she said, through the healthyamerican.org site, and I live in Connecticut. And it wasn't even our governor, it was our lieutenant governor who decided to put through an executive order stating that a medical exemption was required if you were not wearing a mask in public. And things have been getting a little tighter here, and I've only gone to places that allowed me in, but I know that that was eventually going to change, that I was starting to be stopped at certain places and asked if I had a mask, and they would let me in, without a hassle, but just the stopping is unnerving. So my husband and I went into an Advanced Auto Parts a couple weeks ago, and the gentleman behind the counter, neither one of us was wearing a mask, and the gentleman behind the counter stopped us as we were in an aisle and said, excuse me, do you have a mask? And I explained to him that I have a medical exemption and my husband had the vaccine, which is his medical exemption. He has not had it, but if you have a vaccine, why would you need a mask? And the gentleman proceeded to tell me that the store policy states that it is required that you wear a mask. And I asked him if he would like to see the medical exemption, and he got kind of agitated. And so I pulled it out along with the law and told him he was violating my rights, and that the order, which is not a law, states that with a medical exemption, I am not required to wear a mask in his establishment, and that he was violating the law. Thanks to the Healthy American site, I know that the mandates and the executive orders are not laws, and thanks to my father and my mother, I also know the executive branch is unable to pass a law. That's the legislature, and our legislature has not been involved in anything. And the gentleman behind the counter then changed his tune because I was pretty agitated by being told that I had to wear one, and he was wrong. So he said, I wasn't trying to make you wear a mask or tell you. And I said, yes, you were. And here's the order, and here's the medical exemption. And then we left. So we just don't give business to places that do that. Go somewhere else.
So Amy, are you saying that even in spite of the fact that you showed him the edict by the lieutenant governor and the medical exemption, he still escorted you or had you leave without doing business?
No, he did not. We chose to leave.
You chose to leave.
We chose to leave. I will not patronize a business that is not going to adhere and is going to tell me that I am not allowed in despite what my legal rights are. And my
Okay,
legal rights are to be in that store. So if you're not going to adhere to them and you're going to pretend that your store has some kind of authority over me, even though it's open to the public, um, then I'm going to go somewhere else and take my business elsewhere.
good for you. You know, one of the things that I've seen in this is that it truly is about choice. And there you were asserting your rights and making a choice. And that in itself has a sense of empowerment. What was your own feeling of when you left after that interchange?
After I got over, I hate conflict. So after I calmed down from that, it felt pretty good. It felt really good to be able to go into a place that I already knew it was one of the places that they were just very adamant, and it felt very good to have the medical exemption backup to say no, because without that I wouldn't be following, even though it's not a law, I wouldn't be following the order. There would be no no tangible backup, to stand there and say, no, you're violating my rights without being able to say, no, here's what it says, and here is my piece of paper that is required by said lieutenant governor. It felt really good to be able to do that and then to say, no, I'll go somewhere else.
Very
It's
good.
fine.
And I don't know what your experiences have been, but it's curious to me that what I find is that the corporate stores tend to have this top-down um, message that don't let people in who aren't masked. But
Yes.
the local entrepreneurial businesses tend not to be in that same uh, line of marketing from these with these orders, and that I can go to local businesses who are entrepreneurs, and I can use their businesses with greater ease, presenting my letter of exemption to not wear a mask and to be respected for that, and not be forced. Have you that experience at all?
No, actually, I found it's the opposite. So they either that was actually the very first time I've had to show a medical exemption, but they either don't want you in, which happened to me several times at the very beginning of the mask, before it was even required, by the order to have an exemption. I've been asked to leave a local hardware store, and I just looked at them and was like, really? I came here instead of going to Home Depot. I wanted to patronize you, and you're going to tell me I have to stand outside? I'll go somewhere else. I guess I'll go to Home Depot. But I also have some local businesses where I can go in, and they put the sign up on the door so they don't get a hassle by the health department, but they don't care. It's
Very good. And I think that's really important, because what you're doing when you go in and you're so clear about that you are educating those local businesses. And as we see more entrepreneurs collapse through this economic destruction and the box stores thriving, there might be a change of heart to say, wow, Amy was wanting to patronize us. She came, she chose to patronize us as a local business, and we turned her away. Isn't there something a little strange here? So perhaps in time, all this educating that we are doing will have a significant impact as well.
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Amy, I thank you for your time, and I'm trusting that this is going to be helpful. I know it helps me to know how you're maneuvering about in Connecticut. I'm in New Mexico. I talk to people in other parts of the country, and we're all together and in our effort to assert our rights, our birthrights. And I thank you for standing strongly on that. Thank you for
Oh,
joining me today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And did you have anything else to say before we end?
No, thank you very much for everything that you've done.
Thank
We
you too.
appreciate it.
Okay.